We wanted a little cottage that we could work on. So we thought we'd get a fixer-upper. The broker, he said, I have a perfect cottage for you. She took us around and couldn't see a thing. It was empty, freezing cold, windy, fog. We pulled in the driveway, and in the mist, I could see this beautiful house, and I said, Wuthering Heights. And Michael said, we'll have a look. The ceilings were collapsing. It was magnificent. So Michael looked at me and said, Wuthering Heights, Wuthering Blights. But if you want it, of course. So we fell in love. When you fall in love, you don't see flaws.
That was from my dad's funeral. It hung here since he died. What was surprising to me is he wanted to have the military at his wake. He wasn't the biggest fan of our government. So we'll stay here.
It was a house for two people madly in love. A place where love was everything. We've come to the end of a long, wonderful stay, a life where we spend making memories, and now we have the memories. So now we're just getting ready for the movers, and we'll be moving on. And I'm going to take care of the most special things for Michael. He had the two sides, the Buddha and the killer, and so I take special care of the Buddhas.
Radical is a word that's largely misused and misunderstood, but a radical is somebody who goes to the root. For a radical lawyer, the law is the field of struggle. It's seeing the law as it is and imagining the law as it could be. The law could be fundamentally transformed, serving a more humane society. And there was really nobody better at that than Michael Kennedy.
We're not going to sit here in our ivory towers and read about the law, all the wonderful things it's supposed to stand for, and let those motherfuckers across the way terrorize people. There's a big difference between condemning the government and condemning our country, which we happen to love. Just hate the fucking government.
A liberal wants to make reforms in the system. A radical wants to transform the system altogether.
It's times like these that more than ever, we've got to remember how many other brothers and sisters are rotting in stinking holes charged with the same type of crap that these men were charged with.
That's the role of a radical lawyer. Make the courtroom a site of resistance. Get people back on the street, defend them, and to not allow the state to steamroll people into prison.
It's almost a year since the massacres in Vietnam and the daily massacres that go on against the people of the world have occurred.
I was graduating from law school and took a job as the National Lawyers Guild organizer.
Michael and I were together when we first met Bernadine. We thought we could work with her, fight with her, and learn from her.
When I first met Eleanora, she's, of course, always elegant, always flawlessly dressed. Our friendship was formed the second I met them. It was a political match and it was a personal match.
We had a relationship where we talked back and forth, read books together, and talked about the world.
And what we had in common was we knew our government was full of shit. We knew the war they were running in Southeast Asia was an imperial war about racism.
We want peace! We want peace! We want peace! We want peace!
This world of social activism, transforming our imagination about what's possible, was happening right in front of me.
That we believe that action like that is action of insanity. It's not revolution even. You see, going out in the streets and getting people shot and killed and maimed, that's insanity.
On December 4th, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were assassinated by a unit of the Chicago Police Department. As we felt the heavy hand of the state repression and watched it happening to Black Panther Party, for white radicals, we needed to think of where this could be going.
Being a revolutionary, I think it's a necessity. This country was built on a revolution, threw the fucking British out.
Michael was passionate about justice, justice for all. Racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, all cut him to the quick. He was able to take the cases that nobody else would and fight like hell for them. And I assisted him with everything. I was his trial consultant. As a team, I was all intuition, and Michael was all intellect. So separately, we could miss something, but together we didn't miss much, ever. We represented various political groups. He was representing Los Siete de la Raza. At the same time, he was representing part of the Black Panther Party. We represented the Chicago 8 and the Weather Underground.
Ho, ho, ho Chi Minh! Viet Cong is gonna win!
Once you stand up, assuming you don't get crushed, and we didn't because we were privileged white people for the most part, you don't get crushed, you'll stand up again. Hey, I've done that before. And then you see other people standing up.
Michael and I were close. We agreed about what was happening in the world. We agreed that it was going to be a pitched fight in the courts, but that the courts shouldn't take over from the organizing work or the activism work. And I talked to Michael about being my lawyer, and he said he would.
We helped the Weathermen in any way we could, legal or illegal.
I was so angry at the American people that, it was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. We're on the wrong side of history.
In the Weather Underground, we were waking up to a world that was out of balance, and we were trying to make sense of that world.
We will build a revolutionary youth movement capable of actively engaging in the war against the imperialists. We will lead massive demonstrations against the war in support of the Black Panther Party.
We have gone on the offensive. It is we who call the shots now.
We abolish this system, this society altogether, and build a new one.
We're not a terrorist organization, and it's irresponsible of people to make that accusation.
We want to make a revolution. We think there has to be a revolution.
Our intention was to conduct a campaign of sabotage.
And then we're going to attack the enemy!
Was it risky? It was terribly risky.
We gotta knock those motherfuckers who control this thing right on their ass.
We needed the protection of being clandestine.
Eleanora and I have always, our joke has been we do our best work in the dark.
The fear that we always had was having the weathermen found when they were underground.
Eleanora taught us that dressing for the moment could be very important. When we went into somewhere dangerous, recognizing that we were using our privilege to both be invisible if necessary or to be unfeared by the authorities.
Eleanora could deploy her elegance, her style, her charm to do a lot of things that other people might not have gotten away with.
Being well-dressed, I could always get away with a lot more, and I did. A Chanel suit took me places where no one else could tread. Whenever we would have to meet with weathermen, we would have to go on what was called a trajectory. And once we got to the end of the trajectory, if it was all clear, we would go to the designated place. I was meeting with Jennifer Dorn, Bernadine's sister. The FBI, they came right in after us. We just knew. Jennifer and I were into the bathroom. I swallowed the paperwork. It was very uncomfortable, but it would have been a whole lot more uncomfortable if they were able to take the paperwork.
There's two groups of young Americans. One group goes into the Pentagon, cases the place, finds a bathroom where they can unscrew a drain pipe, puts a small bomb in there.
A bomb exploded early this morning in the Pentagon.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington.
No one's hurt, does $1 million worth of damage, and unbeknownst to us, destroys a computer system which was running the air war. What could be more delightful than that? Bombing the Pentagon was an escalation. We felt it was essential to make a major statement.
Property's not the most important thing in the world. Money's not the most important thing in the world, but humanity is, and rights are, and civil rights particularly.
Another group of young Americans goes into My Lai village in Vietnam and slaughters men, women, and children. Who's the terrorist? What do you do when there's no end in sight? Yes, 1 million people have been killed. How do you stop it? It's your government. How do you end it? And we went underground, determined to survive what we saw as an impending American fascism, determined to build a revolutionary force. And that's why we did what we did.
Now we are everywhere. We're not just attacking targets. We're bringing a pitiful, helpless giant to its knees.
The tape recording warns that the weathermen plan to attack some symbol of American injustice, as it was called, within the next few weeks.
An explosion.
The explosion occurred. The bomb exploded. A pipe bomb.
It was definitely a high explosive.
Fortunately, there were no injuries.
The FBI was monitoring us. Our phones were tapped. 2 men were in the doorway and said, "We're here to talk to you about Bernadine Dorn." And I said, "Nothing to say. Please leave." And they said, "Okay, you can talk to us now or you're gonna get a subpoena." We were gone in 48 hours. We had to leave the world behind. I didn't know how long we would be gone or what would become of us, but we had each other. I was looking over my shoulder a lot. I was afraid that the government would be able to go to wherever we were and I was going to be extradited back. My body was breaking down from anxiety, I think.
We believed in what we were doing, and if it took us out as we were doing it, we'd have been taken out. It just didn't happen to us. It happened to a lot of other people.
I came very slowly and reluctantly to the decision that it was time for me to turn myself in. I hated those words.
We were around from 1970 to 1981.
Michael said, there's times in life when you have to make yourself very small for a moment in order to go through the eye of the needle. And this is one of those times.
The government would have loved to have snatched her. We did an all-nighter with the district attorney.
Michael said she has young children. She's turning herself in of her own free will.
And they gave in, they collapsed, and they said, okay, bring her in.
Today, after more than a decade as a fugitive, Dorn came out of hiding and surrendered to a Cook County judge.
When the federal government tried to prosecute, we were allowed to bring forth ill-gotten evidence, illegal wiretaps, and other forms of surveillance. And frequently the government would dismiss cases rather than let us bring out the fact that they had acted illegally.
I was given 3 years of probation. Judge Surya gave me a lecture, and I tried to be very polite and say, thank you, Judge Surya, but I denounce imperialism, racism, war.
Resistance by every means necessary is happening and will continue to happen, and I remain committed to the struggle ahead.
It's impossible to live 73 years and not have regrets. We made mistakes. We learned from those mistakes. What I don't regret is hurling myself against U.S. empire, against U.S. racism, with every fiber of my being.
I regret using the metaphor of war. It helped make certain things more acceptable that we eventually turned away from. Everybody loses in war. It was both an inflated sense of our own importance and an authentic effort to be on the side of history and do our part.
The love was the light, and that helped us through any of the darkness, any of the fears. I am still close friends with Bill and Bernadine, and always will be, our family. Being a revolutionary is the way you live your life and respect for other people, people who are different. Take personal risk to better humanity.
I get emotional because I'm old now. I'm 78. I've lived a phenomenal life. And what I loved about it most is I was never afraid, not once. Because if we don't rebel, if we don't stand up, no one will. Our babies won't learn how.